Today, the U.S. market is looking like it wants to open in red for some reason. But, you know, we might flip into the green. We might flip into the green. But anyways, yeah, I mean, we'll see. So far, it's been pretty good. NASDAQ has been rallying a lot lately, so taking a breather here or there is perfectly normal. But, you know, there's a couple of earnings. Like, I know Tesla is going to be reporting this week. Goldman Sachs and some of the other banks, they're going to be reporting. But Goldman Sachs does think that a U.S. recession, okay, in the next year is going to, I mean, the odds of it are going to be less. I mean, I just don't see it. We're already in recession. I don't see us going in deeper in recession. Okay, we might just hover for a while, but I just don't see it, especially seeing how the macro environment is getting better and we're going to get a rate hike or rate cut soon. So I don't know. I think this is pretty self-explanatory, but we'll see. Bank of America, another bank that posted a profits beat. Okay. So you would think that's great, right? But where'd that money really come from? Maybe it came from all the fake accounts they created and the bogus fees that they charge. So it's funny that just 1 week ago, you have Bank of America being fined for $150 million. Oops, I realized I didn't even change my screen. It's funny that you have Bank of America fined for $150 million. And, you know, somehow things are just okay, right? Like somehow things just, it's business as usual. And it's okay for a Bank of America, one of the largest banks on earth, to do this, right? And somehow, you know, no one blinks an eye at it and it's just done. And now they reported better earnings and then it's like all is forgiven, right? Only happens with banks. It doesn't happen with anyone else if you think about it. But you know, just think about the scrutiny that the crypto companies in America have to go through, okay, versus the banks, which have committed crimes and fraud and money laundering, all the things that the naysayers still say that people do with crypto. I mean, it's being done with banks, and yet they're operating just fine, and no one is being thrown in jail at all. You know, the hypocrisy of it all, if you think about it, right? Anyways, moving on. We do have other economic data this week that's coming out. Today, we're going to have retail sales and then more housing stuff that's coming up, building permits, housing starts, and then existing home sales. And then we'll have a couple big ones like jobless claims and the PMI. So these are all things to look forward to this week. I don't know if they are things that we should be looking forward to, but whatever. We're going to get them regardless or not, right? And then this guy right here will have to take in all the data and determine whether or not additional rate hikes are needed beyond the one that's coming next week. So we'll see. All right, now moving forward, what else? Let's get back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, a little weaker today, down 1%. Okay, and unfortunately, it's below 30,000. Why is that? It does seem like there's way too many people, again, that are playing with leverage and getting liquidated. Remember, we like to see shorts get liquidated. We don't want to see longs get liquidated. And whenever there's too many on either side, it tends to go bad, right? So I believe way too many people threw on their 20x or 50x long on Bitcoin, and now it's affecting everyone, not just them. Keep in mind, when liquidations happen, it's a cascading selling effect, right? Either way. And whenever you have it on long side, well, this adds to a lot of pressure. But I am confident that Bitcoin will come back up to 30,000 in no time. And part of this could also be because of XRP, which I have some XRP news, but I couldn't help notice that today is pretty red overall, except XRP, which is up slightly to almost 76 cents after recently falling to 70 cents. Is slowly climbing up about 60% for an entire week and up 2.31%. But I couldn't help notice that they have flipped above BNB. BNB has been sitting at number 4 for a very, very long time. Okay, and now XRP is sitting at number 4 with roughly 2.5 billion more in market cap. So obviously the XRP army is still very strong, and maybe some of that selling of Bitcoin is to generate cash for XRP. Maybe. And there is some news about that. And what news? Well, I saw this. We know that the big judgment came out recently. Judge Torres said XRP is not a security, which is awesome, right? But this lawsuit between the SEC and Ripple has not concluded yet. So the lawsuit is still ongoing, even though XRP is deemed a non-security. So now the judge, another judge, is suggesting that, hey, the two sides within the next few weeks come to a conclusion and settle. Basically, Gary Gensler has to decide whether or not he's going to continue his lawsuit and appeal the decision that XRP is a non-security, which I think he's deciding, right? Or decide that it's not worth it, okay, and it's time to move on, and it's time to settle with Ripple in regards to they did sell some XRP to institutional investors early on. So that's a no-no, right? So if they do settle, basically Ripple will probably pay some kind of small fine because of that, but and then, you know, life moves on, right? So it's not completely over. It's in Gary's hands right now, but the judge is suggesting that, hey, you know, it's time to call it quits. You know, Ripple basically has won. Just settle and let's move past this. It's been 3 years, okay? 3 years, back and forth, back and forth. SEC tried to make it a living hell for Ripple to defend itself, okay? XRP won. So Ripple won, basically. Ripple won, right? So I don't know. I don't know what Gary's going to do. Maybe he just refuses to bow down, and he will, I don't know, he'll appeal the process. I don't know, but I think this is a part of the reason why XRP is going up, because, you know, this lawsuit may be coming to conclusion. And if it does, and that means, you know what, who may be settling next? Well, it could be Coinbase, right? Or Binance, or whoever else that has a lawsuit with SEC. Those may be settled after this one, because basically there's no argument that any of them are selling security tokens, okay? Because the definition of security token or coin has changed after this ruling, right? So anyways, that may be why XRP is gaining a little more strength today and continue, right? We'll see. We'll see where it goes. But, you know, going back to Bitcoin, you know, there's still a lot of very bullishness that's happening and will happen in the space. For example, spot Bitcoin ETFs, there's a ton that have gotten approval now, okay? The applications have been received and approved. Does not mean that we have a spot Bitcoin ETF yet, but we have so many. Valkyrie has one. They're calling it BRR as their symbol. We know BlackRock's was accepted, and several others have been accepted as well. So now it's just a matter of time whether they get approved or not, right? But there's most people think there's a really good chance this time around, at least a BlackRock one will get approved. And if they approve BlackRock one, they can't really not approve the other ones, because they're financial giants too. Valkyrie is huge. Fidelity is huge. Okay. So we'll see. GBTC volume also reaches new highs. Okay. So the discount the premium discount is shrinking by a lot. It hasn't reached parity yet, but it has shrunk quite a lot. So what does that mean? That means there's institutional interest, right? Mostly it's institutional interest. Of course, there's some retail people that are buying GBTC, but if you're retail, why would you just not buy Bitcoin, right? It's just better move. But GBTC volumes are going high, and let's not forget Grayscale is also trying to convert GBTC into a Bitcoin spot ETF as well. And since they own like 650,000 Bitcoins, what better trust to convert to a spot Bitcoin ETF? It makes a whole lot of sense, right? So there's also a lawsuit right now. Grayscale has also sued SEC over this. So there's lawsuits left and right everywhere against the SEC. No one likes what Gary is up to. No one likes the SEC. Okay, so as for Bitcoin, besides spot ETF news, I mean, Bitcoin's chart still looks pretty fantastic. Here's the Heiken Ashi candles, flip green on a 3-weekly time frame, and has only done this twice before, ever, and whenever it has been done, good things happen, right? So obviously in 2016, that was after Bitcoin recovered up from its low of like $160, and then it went on a run to $20,000. And then it happened again in 2019, okay, and never flipped back into the red until we peaked out at $69,000. So this is one of those signals that does not come very often. There are signals that seem to flip-flop left and right all the time. But if you're looking at some of these greater time scale ones, okay, that's measuring in years, well, this is very bullish because we just flipped into the green, right? Just like in 2016 and just like in 2019. Even though it's all in the green, you realize Bitcoin still goes up and down, right? When you're zoomed out, it's hard to see. But yeah, during these runs, there were still a lot of periods of volatility. There's still a lot of up and downs. Doesn't mean you just go up to the moon, right? But overall trend is definitely bullish. That's why there's arguments to be made that we're already in the next bull run. We've started, but we're at the very, very beginning, not even middle, not even nowhere close to end. We've just started the new bull run. Here's another look at it. Basically, this one is looking at 800 days from peak, right? And then, generally speaking, after 800 days, we recover from bottom, and then we go on a bull run. So again, we started a new bull run, just at the very, very, very beginning of it. And this one is cut off a little bit, but overall, where's my camera? Overall, balance on exchanges, okay? Bitcoin is at a 5-year low, goes all the way back to 2017, and more people are simply taking out their Bitcoin, and institutions are taking out their Bitcoin, right? So the more people that take out their Bitcoin, the less supply there is on exchanges, and while demand is going up, guess what's going to happen, right? Over time, the price will start going up. It's that simple. So, all great things. All great things. What else is great is Brian Armstrong is going to talk to Congress members and talk about crypto legislation, right? We know that legislation framework for crypto is being worked on and will be coming, right? But we want people to actually know what they're talking about to suggest how to regulate crypto, right? You don't want like Gary Gensler's the world that somehow just, I don't know, just thinks everything is security, is in it for himself and his agency, and it's on a power trip, right? You don't want guys like that to be making these regulations. You want fair, you want people that's been in a space for a while, and you want fair registration or legislation or whatever regulation, and that's what's happening. And the last time the CEO of Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, was going to do this was when Gary decided to sue Coinbase that very day. And that timing, wasn't accidental. He did it on purpose to throw everyone off, right? And that's how devious Gary is, if you think about it. Anyways, moving forward, Bitcoin's realized cap sits at 400 billion. That means a steady stream of capital is entering the space, and it just keeps on going. Basically, just know that there's a lot of money flowing in. There's a lot of money in this space, but will continue to go higher. It's all good. All good. All right, guys. That's pretty much it for today. It's a quiet day besides XRP getting some love. The overall market is NASDAQ is down, Dow's up, and Bitcoin is down slightly. All right, let's do some Q&A. Sorry about the beginning of this stream. Couple mix up. I don't know. Every time my computer restarts, silly things happen. My OBS setup gets crazy. Audio and all this stuff gets crazy. I hate it. That's why I hate rebooting my computer. But Windows forces you to reboot whenever you don't reboot for a while. Looks like I didn't really miss any chat. All right. Do you think DXY is going to get a dump or a bounce? Well, we got more economic data that's coming out this week. But under 100, 99.84 is fantastic. I guess it really depends. Yeah, I mean, like jobless claims, every week we see whether there's more jobs added, less jobs, that's going affected, and everything else. I think DXY is going to go down. It's going to start trending down. For the remainder of this year, it's going to slowly trend downwards. I just don't see, there's still a lot of guys that are still predicting doom and gloom for the U.S. economy. It's going to get better. We're adding jobs at an exponential rate right now. Companies are laying off less too. Yes, even though people are penny pinching more these days and spending less, well, that's actually good because that causes inflation to go down, right? So everything that the Fed is doing, working somewhat. So I don't see how they're going to continue to raise rates for much longer. So I don't know. I just see we will be recovering. DXY will be going down. And for the remainder of this year, risk on assets, tech sector, crypto will all trend upwards. And 2024, it's going to get a lot better. Switch over to Linux? No, I can't. I can't stand Linux. Never. Never, ever. Look at XRP go. 76 cents. I still remember the days when Brian Kelly on CNBC was trying to teach people how to buy XRP back in 2017. And it went from like 30 cents to 50 cents to $1 to $1.50 to $3 to $3.70. Man, that was a crazy time for XRP. Very, very crazy. Not as crazy right now because we're not in a bull run. I mean, that was when it was the very peak of the bull run in 2017 and a little bit into 2018. Near has been quiet for a while. Any thoughts of it? I mean, near, I don't really hear much. I know they're developing. They have their own conferences, and you know, they're almost like a baby Solana. Um, there's not a whole lot of dApps I hear that are on near. There's not a whole lot of games that I hear are going on near, right? So a lot of these chains, they have promise, but you just don't hear a lot of adoption or usage yet, right? Even with big guys like Solana, which has recovered up nicely this week. You know, what's driving activity on Solana right now? It's not so much trading or dApps. It's like NFTs. You know, luckily they have that to kind of generate some volume on the chain. Otherwise, it's just like nothing's really going on. So a lot of these chains, it's like they're struggling to bring on dApps that can give them a lot of volume. And they're actually giving a lot of grants for that. Like I hear that a lot with some of the newer chains like Aptos and Sui and these guys. They're like giving out enormous amounts of grants for projects that can come on board, drawing users and volume. AV. Right now, no. I don't own any Gala. Gala has to go up quite a lot to get back to the previous high, more than 10x. They have struggled heavily within the last few years. Red X, I'm actually old enough to remember OS2, so I guess that kind of shows my age. I still remember this old electronics shop called Lectech, where I am from, and I remember, you know, back in the day seeing OS2. Yeah, that was a lifetime ago. What do I want to bring up? I'll just leave this up. Thoughts on VET? I still like VET. I think they'll do fine in the bull run. I remember DOS too. It was not very exciting to buy DOS. When I was getting to computers, I remember MS-DOS 6 came out. And I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to buy it. And then after I installed it, I'm like, okay, now what? Like, it didn't have anything. It didn't have anything to do. I mean, to play or anything, right? It's like, I didn't quite get it in a day. Sologenic. I don't have any thoughts on Sologenic. Alltrack, to quote, it would be irresponsible not to own some XRP, George 2022. I did say that before. I'm going to stick by what I said. People may think, oh, you're flip-flopping. No. I still don't like how Ripple operates their business, right? Selling XRP to financial companies or banks. I still don't like that model, okay? And XRP is still very centralized. That has not gone away. They own more than 50% or maybe close to 50% now since they've been selling so much. They still hold enormous amount of XRP. So they're by no means decentralized. But I did say I applaud Brad and Ripple for fighting the good fight, spending close to $200 million fighting the SEC, getting this verdict, right? And it betters all of crypto, not just themselves. So that's why I'm cheering for them. Because it's phenomenal. And I said after the lawsuit, they will go up for sure. There's no doubt about it. They've been suppressed by this lawsuit for 3 years. So now that the ceiling has been lifted, it's SEC ceiling, right? How high could they go? Could they go back to their previous $4 highs? Probably in this next bull run and even surpass it because they're probably the only big cap that did not form a new high in 2021. Every single big cap, mid cap formed a new high in 2021 versus 2017, 2018, right? XRP is the only one that didn't come close. Maybe this time around, they will. Let's see. Is there really a Chainlink? Okay, Chainlink is up. I covered Chainlink yesterday, so that's good. Is they're coming out of the CCIP, a bridge protocol between 5 different chains. That's good. You got Stellar and Uniswap that's up a little bit today as well. That's good. Hedera is up. I just don't know what's going on in Hedera these days. Optimism, BitDAO, ApeCoin. You know what's going on with the other side NFT, like Yuga Labs? You know, they used to be so strong with all their NFTs and their other side metaverse they were teasing. I had no idea if they gave up on that or not. Like, I was really hopeful for that game. I even bought 2 other side NFTs, and now they're like pretty much worthless. Sui is up. But if you look at 7-day, most projects are still up 7-day. Synthetic up a big amount. Optimism up 23%. Stellar up 30%. Uniswap 14%. If you had to choose between Cardano and Solana, which one would you choose? That's so tough. I think I'll pick Cardano because I like the community better. There are a lot of faithful Cardano guys that will not give up on Cardano no matter what. That kind of conviction and faith, very hard to see in any other project. So I'm going to pick Cardano because of that. With higher prices, will ETH burn get ramped up? The burn stays consistent. It's based on volume, not price. Ernie, what are 5 top altcoins you would recommend? You're new to crypto. Ernie, that's not the right way to approach it, okay? First of all, learn about Bitcoin, learn about wallets, self-custody, learn about blockchain, learn about what's the difference between proof of stake and proof of work is. Learn about staking, learn about all these things, and then start dabbing in. You probably don't want to hear that, but you don't want to just take on some 5 recommendations and then just run with it without knowing exactly what the difference is between each one of these projects, right? And what they do and how to safeguard your own crypto. So make sure you know all those things first. And then you can come back Wednesday night, which is tomorrow night, and see my sample portfolio, which I've built since 2021 and been DCA'd into, and then you can see the list that I've been list of projects I've been DCA'd into for the last 2 years, and give you an idea of some of the good ones. Gensler can't stop attacking XRP because it's a direct competitor of FedNow. It is, actually. That's what FedNow is. It's supposed to be a bridge currency to be used by the banks. So you're right about that, Rhonda. It's a direct competitor to FedNow. Brent, Cardano will have a good breakout. Cardano tends to be slow, very slow, and then boom, it just starts breaking out. I mean, it always does. I missed out the breakout. I had so many opportunities to buy Cardano under 10 cents. Could have bought all day long at like 3 cents, 5 cents, whatever cents, right? And then just, always ignored it until it popped. But yeah, Cardano always, it moves in mysterious ways. Sometimes it just seems like it just never moves, and then all of a sudden it does. James, most people I know can't afford to pay their mortgage and other bills. Even with a raise in pay, they're falling behind. George probably missed record personal debt in 2023. That's not good. There's no doubt there are people struggling, but most people are not struggling, okay? Most people are still working hard, and a lot of people got laid off, and during the COVID period, struggled for a bit. But, you just look at economic numbers. You look at these numbers that are coming out week after week after week. Jobless claims is not going up. Jobs added every month. ADP jobs report is going up and higher and more than expectations, right? So people are definitely finding work. However, I do think some have gotten used to not paying their bills during COVID because there was forgiveness. You didn't have to pay your mortgage. You didn't have to pay your rent. You didn't have to pay your car loan, right? And I do think a lot of people overspent during that period. People were buying things because they were bored and locked at home, right? I think a lot of people got used to that scenario where they're like, hey, it's fun to buy stuff. Who doesn't like to buy stuff? And then, now they racked up their credit card bills because of it. I don't know. I think there's a lot of that. I think a lot of people overspent during lockdown. During 2020, 2021, a lot of people got used to that. And now all the forgiveness programs and the stimulus checks have stopped, right? That's where I think people are now starting to feel the repercussions, so to speak, right? But overall, I think the U.S. economy is still very strong. Unemployment has not gone up. And I think the penny pinching is starting now. We're starting to see some of these elevated prices come down slightly, not a whole lot, but slightly with many things. For example, cars. Cars are coming down finally in prices. I'm starting to see that. Houses, prices not so much coming down, but still a little bit lower than before, right? And some of the goods, like groceries, starting a little bit lower for some items. Certain like eggs is cheaper than before, right? So yeah, that's kind of my take of everything. Will we see all-time highs in next bull run for tokens like Atom, ADA, and others? Yes. Inflationary token economics doesn't mean anything when the demand is so high. When there's FOMO and people are coming in, they overshadow inflationary token economics. Almost everything in crypto is inflationary, with the exception of a few, like Bitcoin, for example. But even Ethereum is inflationary, but Ethereum has built-in burning and now staking that's making inflationary into deflationary, but technically it's still inflationary. There's no set cap on how much Ethereum could exist. Alrighty, so home builder sentiment rises again in July, but builders warn higher mortgages are hurting. That's the thing. I'm currently building a house right now, so I talked to some of these contractors, right? I was talking to the guy in charge of tiles. He has his own company. I'm like, hey, have you seen a slowdown with home builds, with your jobs? Do you get less jobs these days? And he's like, no. In fact, if anything, they have, my jobs have increased, right? So it's like, again, you talking to people that are actually working in the industry, it's like things are not slowing down. They're really not. It seems like it should be, right? It seems like, yeah, homes should be falling down and people are building less homes and, people are not buying because higher interest rates. That's actually not what's happening. Things are still moving upwards. So again, I bring all this up because this notion of the U.S. go fall into a deep recession later this year or next year, some people are claiming that. I just don't see how that's going to come unless there's a catastrophic event that happens. Anyways, all right, guys. stay strong. Bitcoin is down a little bit. XRP is up. And you know what? Better days are coming. Better days are coming. We're going to see a lot more movement with Bitcoin, with spot Bitcoin ETFs coming, and the technicals and fundamentals are great, right? And XRP, you know what? If Ripple gets that settlement with the SEC, that's probably go pump the price even more. All right, that's pretty much it. Smash it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.